Hey YouTubers, good morning, Drop Movid. Guys, got a good one today. Another book review, survivalist, off-grid living, how to get by with very little money. What if I told you there was a book that claims you can live on just $10 a month and actually tries to show you how to do it with everything from recipes from squirrel brains to homemade soap and a whole lot of opinions. A very opinionated book. This is How to Get Out of the Rat Race and Live on $10 a Month by George Leonard Herter and his wife, written back in 1965. It's a survivalist book. If you've seen my other book reviews of similar books like Rancho, Costa or Possum Living, this is similar in some ways, but it's also completely unique in its own right, different from almost any other book I've read. It's a really fascinating book, opinionated book. It's not your average personal finance or homestead guide. It's a kind of a wild and crazy ride through a person's beliefs about modern life, independence, health, religion, history, government, survival, all up into one book. That's kind of a rant and also instruction book and personal manifesto. It's some of the stuff is pretty accurate. Some of it is brilliant. Some of it I think is crazy, and I think it's like he's making stuff up. But it's still a really interesting book. You can't live on $10 a month nowadays. I don't think you could do it very well back in 1965. But looking at the stuff he put in this book, he sure gave it a run for its money. There's a lot of interesting things in here that are still relevant, and even the ones that aren't, it's very entertaining and a one-of-a-kind book. The key things to his book is, I guess, like radical frugality, anti-consumerism, independence, do-it-yourself everything. Like when it came to survival and eating, like if it swam, flew, or ran through the woods, he showed you how to catch it and eat it. It's a do-it-yourself gold mine. It's very funny and unintentionally parts of it. The bad parts, the weaknesses, there's no editing. Like for instance, the very first page, there's no table of contents. There at the end there's an index, but you have no table of contents, and it's kind of jumbled together. Well, you want it. Some of these things, the claims he makes are dubious. You know, you got to take everything with a grain of salt, but some of them are fascinating, and the ones that I know a little bit about, some of the things are very knowledgeable and give me food for thought even today from 1965. Like when he talks about fishing, I know a little about fishing, and he's got some fascinating information about his viewpoints on fishing. But let's look at his chapters. First part is where to go, places to choose. So he spends a lot of time on Alaska and different places. Back then, you could actually get land from the government very cheap. That was probably the key part of his $10 a month, because you could get land and practically for nothing, which was the best part about saving money, is having a place to stay that didn't cost you a lot. Then how to build different homes in the wilderness. A lot of these he's kind of making up as he goes along, but some of them he did himself or he saw other people do. I don't find some of this information in any other books. This section here, what did I skip? I guess it's still we're in the places. Though this is how to make money. Different things you can make money in the wilderness. Like catching aquarium fish and so on, or sponge farming, or sanding minnows, whatever. He's got tons of information. Then foods and cooking. At the end of the book, I'll go over like 5 or 6 other books he wrote, and 2 of them are on wilderness cooking and different things. So he knows a lot about cooking, but how to cook different things from the outdoors. Some of these are definitely, like, you could get in trouble big time for cooking some of the foods, the wild foods, because you're not supposed to eat some of the foods that in the wild that are available now. You know, they're protected and so on. But but some of these things are just, I mean, bizarre. Like if you live near beaches where hermit crabs are found, they can make up a part of your food. Really? Okay. When a hermit crab is in the shell, if you sing loo 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 to the crab for a while, he will come out. Okay. Okay, salt substitute. Mayonnaise is better. Actually, this was interesting. Mayonnaise is better than butter in a cold camp. And he makes a good point about bringing mayonnaise instead of the butter. And I thought that was interesting. Because if you're in a cold climate, the mayonnaise would keep well. And how to make a Canadian lantern. This is very politically incorrect what he's talking about here. Doing different things. This is about campcraft. A lot of fun things about camping he's got here that are very I see people make entire videos on YouTube about some of these one-page subjects he has. Lumbering. He has a lot of good information about lumbering, the use of axes, woodcraft, first aid, dogs. He loves dogs. This may not equal the Kentucky Derby, but still is a lot of fun. Hounds race after a raccoon toad in the cage. Wherever you go, you can create your own entertainment. So yeah, I'm not so sure that people are going to. Boating and canoeing was a good section. Swimming and skin diving. He talks more about making money in skin diving. Fishing, I enjoyed the fishing chapter probably the most out of them all. He went into detail, different scientific theories about fishing, the colors they see, how they smell, they're in different senses they have, different ways you can catch them that people may not know about. Really good. I enjoyed his chapter on fishing a lot. He's got one on netcraft, which a lot of survivalists overlook. Nets, like throw nets and stuff, are probably the best ways to catch fish. And here in North America, you have more freshwater lakes, rivers, canals, ponds than the rest of the world combined. So it's probably the easiest way to get protein and food is from the water. If you were in a situation where you needed to get your own food, and netting is an excellent way. Hunting, I hunt a little bit like ducks and so on, but I can't really comment on the hunting section. But he goes into detail about a lot of theories and things, and I can tell some of these he has a lot of experience, and he's giving his information. But some of these are downright, like he talked about how you can kill bears using rifles hooked up to the tree, and with bait. It's like even 1965, I think people might not have approved of that. So there's parts of the book that are going to be very inflammatory, but you have to take what's happening. Like this was 1965. And at this time, this person had been doing stuff for 30 or 40 years. So this is a product of a person's time and place. So you can't criticize them too much. We're still in the hunting section. Then we have the different areas in the U.S. where there is land that can be purchased or you can camp on, and national parks, wildlife, grazing districts. These are basically Western states. And this would have changed by now too. Then he goes into the miscellaneous section where he's got some of the really interesting. Oh, this is a tanning taxidermy. This is a taxidermy and tanning. He's got some fascinating predictions, items of interest. This is sort of miscellaneous. And this is some of the most interesting comments he makes in the whole book. He's got some wonderful tips on different things that I've never heard people talk about before. Excuse me. French horns bring out crocodiles and alligators. St. Elmo's fire. Do not let the supernatural scare you. Okay. Where's the prediction parts he had? Don't use three-wheeled vehicles in the wilderness and how to escape from cars. This was, I found fascinating. He gave some predictions. This was written in 1965. He said within a relatively short time, modern science will rule the world, as they will be able to completely control people in every way, including all of their thinking. Religion will be disappear completely. Now check this out. By 1996, this was written in 1965, most of the world's foods will be synthetically made, and the day of the farmer as an important food producer will be over. Here, now, by the year 2019, television will be a part of all phones. Wait a minute. 1965. That's fascinating. Scientists will completely control the government, and only those they qualify will be able to telephone in a vote to a center controlled by scientists. Well, that's kind of interesting. By the year 2025, scientists, by drugs and by connecting human beings to computers, will be able to make the people that they select as intelligent as they desire them. They will allow only the people they desire to have children. Well, interesting. How to start a rifle fire if you desire bluebirds. How to write books. Present day prices for items that can be gathered in the wilderness. And then he goes into his index, which covers all the things he talked about. He went on to write some other books. He had a sporting goods store, so he could sell his books in his store. He wrote, let's see, the Professional Guides Manual in the 1960s. George the Housewife, a book for people, guys who need to know how to cook and do household. How to Live with a Bitch, written in 1976 with his wife, was, despite the inflammatory title, was a relationship advice book on how to have a good marriage and gender roles and practical advice for managing household life. It'd be a really interesting book to read, I think. He also wrote another professional wild game cookbook and a official professional guidebook manual. So it's a wonderful, bizarre, strange, useful, non-useful book on how to live on very little money, primarily in the wilderness. And it's a time capsule from a time and place that doesn't exist anymore. But there's still a certain part of this book is still relevant. And like I said, I could take some of these things in here, just like one page, and make it into a whole YouTube video because it's that fascinating. And you could really do a lot with some of these things he talked about. So this is another one of my book reviews on like frugal living or how to get by on very little, or sort of take a break from the rat race. And probably one of the most interesting ones out there. I hardly ever hear anybody talk about George Leonard Herter and his wife Berth Herter. How to get out of the rat race and live on $10 a month. Check out my other stuff on my videos, guys and gals. I make new videos every week. Been doing it for 18 years. Got over 1,600 videos on a bunch of different topics. It's a variety channel. You never know what you're going to find. And just like George's book, you never know what you're going to see and find out about. All right, guys. Take care. Hope you enjoyed this one. I did. Take care. See you out there.